My obscenely arrogant, tyrannical HOA president tossed a crumpled pile of neighborhood rulebooks directly onto my dusty workbench and coldly sneered, "You are nothing more than an uneducated, low-wage wood butcher. Build this massive two-story custom deck over my property line exactly how I want it by Friday, or I will find your contracting business out of existence." He delivered this deeply calculated, venomous ultimatum with a predatory smirk, perfectly playing the part of the untouchable neighborhood dictator. Standing right beside him, in a flawless, custom-tailored designer golf suit, I wore my standard, faded canvas apron and scuffed steel toe boots, a stark, visual contrast, symbolizing the massive, unbridgeable power gap between the man who weaponized the rules and the handyman forced to break them. That moment set the tone for an agonizing, deeply humiliating campaign of psychological marginalization. Throughout the entire construction project, my HOA president and his sycophantic board members treated me like an invisible nuisance. Whenever he hurled a fresh insult or threatened to slap my business with arbitrary neighborhood fines for minor noise complaints, his inner circle of wealthy neighbors never looked up from their smartphones, smirking into their wine glasses while participating entirely in my public degradation. I was the designated pariah, forced to work in suffocating silence while they laughed just out of earshot. But the true cruelty wasn't just his verbal abuse. It was his blatant, hypocritical abuse of power. For years, he had terrorized families with draconian fines for grass being a quarter-inch too tall, yet he was now forcing me to build a massive, multi-tiered timber deck that flagrantly violated every single architectural covenant in the neighborhood charter, encroaching on utility easements, exceeding height restrictions, and crossing property lines by over 6 feet. Whenever I paused my tools to question the legality of the blueprint, my president would aggressively march into the yard, toss a mocking gag gift notice of code violation onto my lumber stack, and demand I double my pace. He was actively trying to force me to become the accessory to his own hypocrisy, using his tyrannical authority to ensure I remained isolated, ignorant, and completely compliant with his corrupt demands. I did not argue with his insults, nor did I react to his humiliating threats. I simply swallowed my rage, gave him a cold, obedient nod, and buried myself deeper into the grueling, brutal physical labor. What my HOA president completely failed to realize, what none of the neighborhood elites understood, because they were entirely too blinded by their own unearned arrogance, was that I had not been a standard residential handyman for over a decade. Over the past 10 years of working brutal, bone-crushing shifts across the city, I had quietly built a hidden second life. I spent my nights studying municipal zoning laws, urban planning codes, and property law, quietly earning formal certifications that gave me the legal authority to audit and enforce structural compliance codes. While he was busy playing the part of an untouchable suburban king, I was secretly studying the HOA's master charter from the inside out, collecting legal precedents, and building an airtight dossier on architectural fraud. I was playing the part of the obedient silent worker, while secretly positioning myself with the exact legal power needed to completely shatter his pristine world. The trap snapped violently shut the exact moment I hammered the final finishing nail into his magnificent, oversized deck, handed him my final invoice, totaling $15,000 in labor and premium materials, and collected every single penny of his cash payment. He flashed a triumphant, condescending smile, thanking me for successfully building his illegal masterpiece. I didn't say a single word. I simply got into my truck, drove down the street, and pulled out my encrypted diagnostic tablet. Using my certified municipal auditing credentials, I filed a comprehensive anonymous structural compliance report directly with the city zoning board and the independent HOA oversight committee, complete with GPS timestamps, certified property boundary surveys, and high-resolution architectural photographs, proving his new deck violated every single neighborhood code. The horrifying, deeply bureaucratic reality instantly clicked in his life. Within 48 hours, an official city inspector slapped a massive red stop work and demolition notice directly onto his front door. The HOA board was forced to hold an emergency meeting, stripping him of his presidency and issuing a crippling 5-figure municipal fine, alongside a mandatory order to completely tear down the illegal structure at his own expense. When the reality of his total ruin set in, his face completely drained of all color, going stark white as a sheet, and his voice cracked in absolute panic as he realized his tyrannical reign had just been entirely eradicated by the handyman he had scammed. I didn't yell, I didn't gloat, and I didn't answer his frantic, pathetic phone calls screaming about betrayal. I calmly deposited his payment into my business account, watched his HOA empire implode under the heavy weight of bureaucratic fines, and returned the next morning to my quiet life of wearing my apron and opening my workshop. Watching a tyrant lose his authority over a deck he commissioned himself was the ultimate vindication. But I have to ask you, was I wrong for taking his money to build the deck and then turning him in? Or should I have refused the job the very second he asked me to break the rules? Drop your verdict in the comments.